Alright everybody, so today I am back with another special video and I'm going through 5 of the books that I recommend you guys should pick up and try to read for the year 2021. Let's go. So I basically have never read a book before 2018, 19 in high school. I didn't really read any of my books. Even freshman year of college, I didn't really read the books. I was more just like doing the work and, doing the activities and following along and stuff like that. In 2019, I think in the summertime, end of the summer of 2019. But yeah, I picked up my first book. It was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And it wasn't, obviously looking back, there's a lot of better, financial books that you can now pick up and learn. But you got to start somewhere. So kind of like having that self-development, that self-growth type of book, including a little bit of financial information and stuff like that, just kind of sparked a light bulb in my head and made me realize that there's so much information out there that I don't have, that I don't know, but that's available and I can chase, and that some people do know. Some people work really hard, and not only was it a moment of like enlightenment in the aspect of like, wow, like I read this book talked about taxes, I should learn about taxes. It talked about mortgages, I should learn about mortgages. Instead of one way of thinking, it just opened up a whole bunch of different perspectives. So that being said, I spent the last year reading a good amount of books. I definitely want to pick up my reading this year, 2021, and just smash out so many books, learn so much information, and just really chase my curiosities. All that being said, today I'm gonna make a top 5 list of the books that you guys should read in 2021, and it's basically some books that I read last year, and I'm really excited to explain some of these books to you. So let's go. Let's get right into it. So I'm actually going to provide more than 5 recommendations. This one did not make there's a few that didn't make the list, but I'll show you guys anyways, just because they're amazing books. This book, Breath by James Nestor, phenomenal. Not on the top 5 list, but could make anybody's list, and it's really a good book. You guys should definitely pick up and try to read this and try to dive into that information, all about learning how to breathe correctly, how our ancient relatives learned this technique of breathing, and how it's kind of became a lost art, and how important it is, and how much real science is supported by nose breathing and taking care of your immune system and all that cool physiology. A lot of it's conducted and run by your breathing and the way you breathe, and it can really help. So I definitely recommend Breath by James Nestor. And a second book that did not make the list, and before I show you guys, I actually have my own little video series where I do book breakdowns, and like I take some of the books that I read and I break down what I gained from them, what information it led me to, what avenues it led me to. I try not to spoil the book. I try to basically make a video encouraging people to pick up the book that I read, and just a small brief review. If you guys want to check out any of those videos, I'm going to be making a lot more. I think I only posted 2 different books, and the 2 different books that I posted are not going to be in this video, so you can definitely check that out and get a lot more recommendations. But the second book that did not make the list, but definitely a quality book, was A Field Guide to Lies, Critical Thinking with Statistics and the Scientific Method. Not a long book, nice and short, right to the point, and it basically just talks about how to look at graphs and statistics and pie charts and percentages, and how to just try to think for yourself, because a lot of those information that's being put out is funded information. The numbers, the graphs, and the statistics are usually funded by big corporations, and whoever is cutting the check is going to try to create the statistics to help their business or help their service or their image. And this book kind of breaks down how you can kind of look a little bit deeper at surveys, and survey says this and the statistics say this, and you can really just botch up all these statistics just by learning this book and just thinking for yourself, kind of thinking outside the box, working your way around the graphs, the numbers, and the statistics to try to find the answer that they came to. And a lot of times it's a lot of lies and deception and manipulation with statistics and graphs, so take that into consideration. I really recommend this book. But yeah, think for yourself, read this book, and get to it. The last book that I'm going to recommend that it did not make the top 5 list is his book Flow, and it basically just breaks down what is the flow state, how to find this optimal experience of life. Does flow equal happiness? Does being in flow create more of a life potential? Whatever it may be, how to find flow, what is going on in your brain when you are in a flow state. I definitely recommend this. This book is life-changing. A little, not long at all, honestly, probably like 200-300 pages. Definitely a quality read. I believe the author is a neuroscientist. I believe so. Okay, not a neuroscientist, is a psychologist. That's who this author is, a psychologist. Definitely a really eye-opening book. Can help you kind of hone in on your goals and your activities and what you're trying to achieve and succeed in life, and it can really help you find a flow state naturally and kind of understand the mechanisms behind flow state in your brain. So definitely recommend this book, Flow. All right, so now we got the ones that did not make the top 5 out of the way. So let's get right into this list. So the number 5 position is actually 2 books, because I read one book and then I read the book immediately after, and I thought they're kind of 2 different ideas, but they're still like the same topic. And I truly recommend, it really changed my life just reading one, getting that perspective, and then reading the other, and then that kind of like countering that perspective, but it's like the same idea. So I don't have these books on hand because I gave them to my friend who moved to Tennessee. So if you're watching this, bro, I'm coming to Tennessee and I'm getting my books back. I am serious about that. It is Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, and then Talent is Overrated. I think Jeff something. Talent is Overrated. Phenomenal book. I would have put that on my top 5 by itself. I wanted to add Outliers because Outliers kind of explains what people had in life, the opportunities that they had that made them successful, that made them outliers, like Bill Gates going to a college and a high school that only had the highest level computer in the whole world or in the whole country. No other university had that. So if Bill Gates went to a different university, he may have never gained the skills to create Microsoft. So it just kind of gives you that perspective. And then you read the book Talent is Overrated, and it basically breaks down all the athletes, musicians, scientists, stuff like that. They basically truly have just put in more time in practice and working at their skill and their activity than anybody else has. So you have a professional violinist practices like 7 hours a day, and you have an intermediate violinist who practices 3 hours a day. And the compound effect of those hours at practice, it's just incomparable after like a few years, because one guy's at 2,000-3,000 hours, the other guy's at 5,000-7,000 hours. And it really just shows you that you don't need to be born with a special talent, or you don't need to be born with some special gift, right? People say, I was born to do that. Like, you don't need to fall into that trap. You can just work hard, put in the hours, and it proves that a lot of people have just done that and have been better than everybody else. So that book really lit a fire under my butt, if I can be honest with you, and it just makes you want to really hone in on your goals and just really attack what you want to go for. But yeah, like I said, don't have the books on hand. Talent is Overrated and Outliers by Malcolm. Definitely Talent is Overrated is the one that I rank a little bit higher, but I think reading them back to back, they're a good, thought-provoking thing. They just kind of have your thoughts bouncing around the dome. So number 4 on this recommended list is for my Americans right here, okay? I don't know if people reading this around the world. I do recommend this for anybody, if you're around the world reading this, but this is specifically for Americans. The Coddling of the American Mind, okay? How good intentions and bad ideas are setting up a generation for failure. Whoo, man, this title just hits you where it's supposed to hit you, honestly. That being said, these 2 authors are 2 professors at 2 different universities, and they've seen what's been going on since internet generation, my generation, anyone born 1995 and after. We basically are lacking the interactive skills, the individualistic skills that a normal person would have. So basically at the age of 17, 18, our brain is at a mindset maturity level of 14, 15 years old, and you can just see it. And I can own up to that. I try to take the steps to learn about this stuff, read this book, and try to inspire people to read this so they can practice and learn from this short history, because that's basically all this book is. This is short history. This was written in 2018, and it breaks down the problem with my generation. And if people in my generation can read this book and learn from that, I think we're doing pretty good. I think we'll be on the right track with that aspect. But that being said, The Coddling of the American Mind, it really puts in perspective what's going on, the mindset behind the massive increase in anxiety and depression, internet, iPhones, social media, colleges, safetyism at colleges shutting down free speech basically, and it causes a lot of hysteria in the mind. And the more you hug people and make them feel like, oh, it's gonna be okay, it's all okay, like that's really not how human beings are made to deal with some of these real life situations. We're supposed to deal with them head on and stop hiding from them and stuff like that. So creating like a safety net sometimes hinders our citizens and especially our mental health more than it really is supposed to help us. So The Coddling of the American Mind, a phenomenal book, especially for right now. It's 2021, the election's going on, humans are acting very tribalistic, and I do recommend this book just to put it in perspective. Why are we acting that way? And yeah, Coddling of the American Mind, super recommended, gotta read it. So now we are gonna get into a couple of thick books right here. So number 3 on the list, this book is phenomenal. I do have to read this again because I want this information. Sapiens very mainstream book, and I understand why some people shy away from mainstream books and mainstream information. I totally understand that, but I would make the argument that this book is mainstream for a reason, because it is so good. It's so right to the point. Like it doesn't really have a lot of fluff in it, I wouldn't say. I'm sure someone could probably break down this book and why it's bad and all that stuff, but I would recommend this book. Gives a lot of insight to like maps of meaning almost, you know, stealing Jordan Peterson's title, but a lot of like where we come from, why we came from there, why we think like this, why did these people think like that over there, why did all this different stuff happen, the agricultural revolution, the scientific revolution, polytheism, monotheism. This book is absolutely phenomenal. Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari. And I did not read the second book. I think he has like Sapiens and then Homo Deus. This is the only one that I have picked up, and this is the only one that I've read. I have recommended a few of my friends and they loved it. So yeah, Sapiens, check this book. A Brief History of Humankind. So phenomenal. I definitely got to reread it. Absolutely amazing. Definitely recommend. Top 2 books right here. I did not know which one to choose, but I'm gonna save the best for last because that one is fire. Right here we got number 2 on the list. I read this book twice and I do want to read it 3rd, 4th, 5th time. It's a phenomenal book. He's a phenomenal thinker, and we're gonna get right into it. Jordan B. Peterson, 12 Rules for Life. Okay, like I said, Maps of Meaning. I stole my boy's title, but this book is phenomenal. An antidote to chaos. It doesn't really give you like 12 rules like a self-help, like a John C. Maxwell type of book, like 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. It doesn't really give you these like straightforward type of things. One of the rules is pet a black cat if you see it on the street, or something like that. And you think to yourself, like, what kind of rule is that? And then you read his chapter and it's like this deep, intricate thought of like all these different like philosophies and ideologies of himself and who we are and where we come from. He really goes into great depth and explains like the symbolicism of, I think I used that word correctly. Don't hold me to it. Symbolicism. I'm gonna say that's a word, but the symbolism. I don't know. The symbolism of the Bible and Adam and Eve and Cain and Abel and all that symbolic aspect of the Bible and mythology and stuff like that. Whoo! Peterson really breaks it down. A phenomenal book. Truly would recommend this to anybody. It's not a difficult read. It's a little bit of a difficult read if you're a beginner reader. I would say challenge yourself. You're not gonna get better at reading if you don't try to challenge yourself with harder books. It's also fun to read. The way he speaks is interesting to listen to. You guys can check it out, his podcast, his lectures. But the way he writes is truly phenomenal. It's really beautiful. And it's almost fun to read. It's almost like you're in a game reading. Like his word choice is amazing. It's really a phenomenal book. I really, am inspired off this. I want to work on my own book. I want to work on my own journey and stuff like that, my own documentaries and things like that. So please stay tuned, check that out, hit that subscribe button, comment, drop a like. You already know what's going on. But yeah, 12 Rules for Life. Gotta get the hardcover because this thing is a modern day classic. I would say it's a modern day classic. New York Times, the most influential public intellectual in the Western world right now. Your boy JP. Okay, and yeah, definitely recommend this book to absolutely anybody. Sapiens, and then this one, oh my gosh, blow your mind, honestly. Anyone who really knows me might have an idea at this top number 1 book right here. And if you guys want to check out my podcast, I talk about a lot of this stuff, a lot of the information that I gain, and kind of talk about my own ideologies and stuff like that. I also interview people and talk to different thinkers, and I want to grow my podcast and talk to a lot more people. So check that out. Link will be in the description. Subscribe, follow, listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. It's all available. Website, it's all in the description. So check that out. Really appreciate the support. And yeah, number 1. Drum roll, please. Let's go, baby. Fingerprints of the Gods by the boy Graham Hancock. Okay, I'm sorry I'm getting a little lit right now, but oh my god, yo, this book is lit. Graham Hancock is a real one, bro. I have to just say that. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little out of character right now. Honestly, this is my character. But Fingerprints of the Gods is insane. The most thought-provoking book I've ever read. It goes deep into the precession of the equinox. It goes into, if you see right on the front cover, you have the Sphinx. It goes into the water erosion on the pyramids, the ancient like mythology with the pyramids and where they were built and where they came from and the stories behind who they believe built them. Because you got the mainstream media saying this, that, and the third, but the people from Egypt, they don't even believe that stuff. So you're like, wait, what the heck? And then he talks about like the Mayans and the whole Mayan land and Bolivia, Lake Titicaca. Oh my gosh, dude, it's insane. The Viracocha, Quetzalcoatl, how they would come to these civilizations and bring these hunter-gatherers. They would give them information about like agriculture, architecture, mathematics, astrology, and the fact that they could, the astrology is insane. So like right now, a lot of people are woke, you know, everybody's all astrologied out, everybody all spiritualistic, right? And it's kind of intriguing, it's enticing, right? I guess you could say. But this book, you can really like learn about it. Like, it sounds like the pyramids were built just for celestial observation. And if you look at the whole entire, like the Giza area, and then the Nile River is supposed to represent the Milky Way, and all the pyramids are supposed to represent the solar system. It's truly astonishing. It's giving me chills just talking about it. And it talks about the Mayans, how the Mayans didn't really build where they lived. They basically found it and just like kind of cleaned it up and stuff like that, and they didn't have the information, and there's no proof to prove that these people like knew how to build this. It's insane, the idea like that the Egyptians, they didn't even invent the wheel, but they built this massive pyramid that lines up with the stars perfectly, and they knew that the stars, every 73 years the star would move 1 degree over. So if someone makes it to like 70 years old, they didn't even see the star move, they would have to pass down that information to someone in the village or a family member or something like that, and they would have to learn this information and keep count of the tracking of the stars. And that's why it's kind of like a cool, interesting thing to me. I see a lot of people on social media and it kind of gets saturated with BS, if you want my opinion. But I think it's really interesting, the whole like, you know, we're changing from 3 dimensions to 5 dimensions, and we're changing from we went into like Aquarius or something like that. It's really interesting. It's really enticing. You have people like Neil deGrasse Tyson that kind of says astrology is all a bunch of BS. But I beg to differ, because our ancient ancestors, I feel like they do not get the enough credit for how maybe smart or how woke they were for their times. You know, we think they were just a bunch of freaking goofballs that were hunting and living in caves and like, nah, dude, they were building pyramids that lined up with the stars. What the hell are you talking about? So it's like, once you've learned that, you're like, whoa, I need to rethink like who I am and my ideologies. Last 3 books, I wanted to do some thickums and really give you guys some great thick material that has a lot of cool information. But Fingerprints of the Gods, I don't want to spoil the whole entire book. I don't want to spoil this stuff. This book's amazing. It really, I actually have another book, Lost America. It came out in this came out in 1995. Lost America came out last year, 2019. So that's all about like kind of similar ideas, ancient stories, ancient mythology with America and our land. So it's really interesting. Graham Hancock is a phenomenal writer. He's a great author. He's an amazing person that really gets your mind thinking. So I recommend Fingerprints of the Gods. Numero uno, baby. But everyone, I wanted to keep this video short. I wanted to just explain and give some recommendations for the 2021 year, and I hope you guys really pick up some books and start reading, start chasing your curiosities. Anything that you find curious, read something about it. And I personally buy a bunch of books, all these different type of books, all these different type of things, and sometimes like I'll read a book like this, and then the book maybe finishes with astrology, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting, maybe I'll pick up astrology. Or let's say the book finishes about like World War II, and I'm like, man, like now I'm thinking about World War II, let me pick up a book about World War II. Whatever it may be, chase your curiosities, do what you want to do, think for yourself, read the books that you want to read. I think there's a statistic, 60% of books that get open never get finished. Don't be part of that statistic. Do not be a statistic. Like I said, this book helps you cheat the statistics. Don't let them lie to you. But definitely think for yourself, read a book, pick up a book. If you have any recommendations for me, drop them in the comments. I'm down to check out anything you guys recommend, so I definitely will appreciate any recommendations. Please drop a like, a comment, subscribe. Like I said, I do book breakdowns, short little, informational pieces about why I like this book, what I recommend, and just trying to build a small community of people that read, and I think that's really dope. Also, like I said, check out the podcast, Instagram, links all in the description. Drop a comment, drop a like. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you gained a little bit of a perspective. Hope you guys got some good recommendations, because I tried to watch other YouTubers that talk about books and they give you a lot of the same old BS. I wanted to throw some Graham Hancock and some Jordan Peterson in there. So definitely check that out. Drop in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Deuces.